найдутся, то такие же, как я, несчастных замучат. Им не на что больше надеяться. А я могу, понимаете, я могу им помочь. Никто им помочь не может, а я гнида. Я гнида могу. Я честно платить на том, что могу им помочь. В этом все. Ничего не хотим больше.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Let's Take 5, the podcast where we pick a cinema legend, take 5 of their films, and analyze them based on their excellence and range. My name is Austin Luger.
My name is Eric Martindale.
And we are here on week 3 of the Russian master Andrei Tarkovsky. Mm-hmm. We have previously reviewed Ivan's Childhood and Andrei Rublev. We have The Mirror and Stalker coming up, but today we are going to cover, I think, his most popular film, Solaris.
I think it's undeniably his most popular film at this point. And that even predates the Soderbergh remake. I think,
yeah. So. This is the story of this skeptical scientist who is brought up to a space station, which is having some unusual activity taking part. There is a man who says he has seen things and things that have not really that couldn't appear. And he goes up there and he also witnesses these strange hallucinations, including the image of his dead wife who is walking around and talking to him. Mm-hmm. And sure looks real.
Sure feels real.
Sure feels real. Already you can tell this is a very different film than the last 2 films we covered. We had a small, intimate story of war. We had an epic 3-hour look at a Russian painter and Catholicism in Russian history. This is a sci-fi tale. And how did Tarkovsky do you think, in this new genre?
I think this is a nearly flawless film from pretty much top to bottom. When I first saw this film, I mean, this is a deeply meditative film. Like, this is not a popcorn movie. I think you really need to, kind of like Stalker later, you really need to kind of hang on every single word and think about it, and chew on it a little bit. Which I think it is kind of difficult because there's a language barrier, first of all. Second of all, unlike what we covered previously, at least to me, Japanese, to me, it takes a long time to say little. Russia's the exact opposite. They can say a lot and very quickly. So, you literally are having your reader read faster. And that's difficult when you're talking about, this emotional, philosophical film or whatever. So, we're going to jump all over the place with this film. So I'm just going to dive into, my big impressions from the film when I first saw it, if that's okay.
Sure. And, of course, as we always do in this podcast, we cover the entire film. This is an essay about the whole film, so we're going to be discussing the ending to this movie. Mm-hmm. If we have piqued your interest, thank you for the download. Now go watch the film and come back.
Yes, please. So my first impression of this film is, okay, so I walk away from this, there's kind of a twist at the ending, which we'll get to, and it's kind of like, what is this really about? What do I take from this? So, Chris Kelvin is a psychiatrist who's sent on this sort of space vehicle that's orbiting Solaris, and he's the person to evaluate whether or not to pull the plug on the funding for the project, or even the potential just to radiate the entire planet and kill it and destroy it or whatever, and basically figure out why everyone's going insane on Solaris. And then he starts seeing images of his dead wife, Harry, which we talked about earlier, and not just images, some real embodiment of her, an actual living, breathing being. But what it is Solaris, the planet, is able to read the subconscious of the human beings on the ship, and is able to extract something from their memory and recreate it in front of them. This meaning a person, place, thing, whatever. People that have died, people that are important to them. At least that's what's implied. And the means of which and the reasons for this are not quite known. The skeptic says it's a way for Solaris to sort of manipulate the humans, because it didn't start doing this until the threat of it being radiated was their presence was known to them. Mm-hmm. And so it is a way to manipulate them and try to keep them from doing something like that. But when you see this new Harry, which is the dead wife of, and you see Chris Kelvin, sort of his regret, because he left her right before she died. She didn't just die, she killed herself. And a lot of that ties to the choices that he made in his life and whatnot. What this movie came about to me is, what does it mean to love somebody? What is when I say that I love someone, am I saying that I love that person because of the way they make me feel? Or am I saying I love that person because of how they are the way they are? Mm-hmm. And at what point does my love for the human being and the love for the memory sort of run together? Because you go through good times in a relationship, you go through bad times, you go through awful times, you go through times where you look at your spouse and you say, I don't know if I love this person anymore. That happens. But then you think about all those great times you had and all those memories you had and all that regret you have to try to get it back to the way that was. And what we have in Solaris here is a chance for him to recreate that relationship that he had and rewrite those wrongs that he had with her, perhaps. Because he falls desperately in love with her. But it's not her.
And that's where I had a different take this time.
Okay, but just to close out that thought, I know it's really long-winded. Is that wrong that it is not her? Because it's not her. Is it real? And those are the things that I was left with at the end of the film in a very, very big way. And what is that? Is that disgrace the memory of Harry? Mm-hmm. And if you have regrets, shouldn't you have to suffer the penance for that regret? Rather than just say, oh no, I can do this and make it right. But you're not making it right. She's gone. And you should have to... You suffer because you made wrong choices in your life. And I'm not saying the whole onus is on Chris Kelvin, but I'm just saying... Where's the justice for Harry here? The real Harry.
So, to start to answer...
That was so long-winded, I know.
No, it was fantastic. Because this movie provokes all these things, and I saw this first in high school, and I saw it in college, and I saw it again for this show, and every time I kind of had a different take on a lot of the questions you brought up. The very first time I watched it, I just felt a lot of pity for this man who just, like, he has nothing, and all he has left now is the almost connection with this alien replica of his wife. I really kind of felt bad. That's all he could go to in the universe. This time I really thought about it in a different way, because I really looked at truly an incredible performance by the woman who plays Harry.
She's unbelievable.
Yes, this is not the real Harry, but that also doesn't fully matter, because this is now a being born from a memory. And she has those previous memories, and just as if you had someone and had a Xerox cloning machine, and they've now had every memory of every day that you've had, they're now equally as much of a person as you are, even though they might have a sticker, kind of thing. As the duplicate, the only difference is that she is now on a space station today. She still has these elements.
She is not human.
She is not human. There are sci-fi elements going on.
She's made of neutrinos,
which is
and we're made of carbon.
For fun.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are elements about when, they're around the planet Solaris that, she just isn't there, isn't existing, which is brilliant. Mm-hmm. But these memories, the memories can define the soul, kind of thing. And that's really what I saw of her as this gift and this opportunity to where the original Harry is in fact dead. There is now a new, complete Harry, with a couple differences, but very small in the large pie chart that is Harry. There's still all the memory and experiences of them together, and I think I actually found Solaris, the film, to be a more strangely comforting film, because it knows it's not real. It has smart people who understand that what is around them is not exactly what they would have called real at the beginning of the film, but they're learning that doesn't matter, and they're finding a beauty in the elements of nature for something that is coldly artificial. You know what I mean?
Well, by they you mean Harry and Chris. Right?
Yes, because the other ones in the ship do not feel this comfort.
Right. Well, I think Dr. Snout sort of, he's on the spectrum. I mean, he murders his guest is what they call them. They call them guests. So you have these things that reappear that Solaris creates, and it seems that Snout murders his on a daily basis, basically. And each time he's noticed that it takes it longer to come back, but it always comes back. The first time we see Chris deal with Harry, he sends her off in a rocket ship, and she comes back.
Well, but she doesn't, because Dr. Snout said, because like when Harry 3, I guess, was hurt, and didn't know if she's going to wake up or not, he says, you can go fly out. The other one in the ship is still out there. To me, it's like this time, instead of really feeling pity for
Well, that's
Chris,
a little confusing, because they do say it can only exist inside the ship, too. Or on the planet. Like, it wouldn't exist on Earth.
I think it implied that ship, the little like escape pod that went out, was like, just orbiting Solaris.
Okay. I may admit, again, it's Russian, so I've seen it twice. So.
Yeah. But, so actually, this time, I actually felt the most sorry for this guy, because you have these scientists like who, even amongst themselves, try to argue like who is having the most scientific approach to all this, and he keeps dismissing Chris for being too emotional.
Well, certainly Dr. Burton does.
Yeah, Dr. Burton. Yeah. And I mixed up the names in there too.
Snout is the older guy. Burton is the Andrei Rublev guy.
Got it.
Yeah.
Him is what I was thinking, because he is so scientific, and it's for a really hard sci-fi film. It was actually amazing to see how that angle was perceived as not exactly the way to live, because like I saw it more as a gift this time. It's the fact that Chris can see Harry again, and this guy who just does not see any, like, he's not seeing potential in the miracle in front of him. You know what I mean? Like, there's something here that's incredible, and to just keep being skeptical and cynical really felt like it was defeating what you're seeing. And that tie-in with nature, because one of the most incredible sequences of this film, which just blew me away, because Tarkovsky is just one of the best visual filmmakers ever made.
Yeah, I think that's difficult to deny.
Yeah, because like, especially the fact that he uses so little score, so like it's just his camera and the...
When the score does hit, though, it's incredible.
It hits you.
Yeah.
And since we just had 2 films, one of which was 99% in black and white, first shots in color, and just like it blows you away the use of color in this film. And when you have Chris, his commute to leave Earth, that sequence in the car, it just started to feel like a nightmare, because like the whole movie begins and you're at this lake, you're in a house, you have this kind of flashback video thing going on. It's all good, but when you're just like, when he has this drive through the city, and it just seems very normal at first, but then it just starts to feel more and more claustrophobic, as like just so many roads and buildings start to just obscure all view, and it seemed like it could just be a dash cam thing, but it became really unsettling to me, to the point where I needed to be like properly outside, and then I'm in space.
Yeah, and then it cuts to, it has like, a really cool cut. It's very similar to 2001's cut. Tarkovsky had not seen 2001 when he made this movie,
which is awesome.
I know, and that's insane. So yeah, I mean, the opening shots, you see Chris Kelvin on Earth, and you see him looking out over the field, and he's at his father's house that he kind of grew up in, and we see various memories he has from this house later in the film, and you learn throughout the day that when he leaves to go to Solaris, by the time he comes back, his father's gonna probably be dead. So, and then you see this, the commute with all the traffic and everything, and then you cuts to sterile space, and it's all very nature oriented. There's definitely a life and death cycle thing that's being pushed and represented here. You have the psychologist who's speaking to the guy the day before he goes to space and says, listen, there's some crazy things that happen on Solaris, and you need to know this stuff. And he's very, very rational, very, very earthling, being like, no, that's not the case. And it cuts to space, and it's like a completely different film, too. And the bridges and borders of that are, I think they're more aligned with what the novel was, because this was a book before it was a movie, and it was really trying to toy with the idea of humans increasingly being disaffected with nature and being more like The Commute.
Yeah.
So you see these shots of, it's basically the progression. You see this shots, which is essentially like out in nature, this like cabin in the woods or in the fields, and you see the water, and then stuff. And then you see the commute through this crazy traffic that seems almost inhuman, very, very concrete jungle, Spaghetti Junction, and then a cut to space. And that's sort of the Darwin's voyage of that we've had, post-Darwin's voyage. By the point at the end of the film where when you finally see some nature again, you're kind of starved for it. You miss it. It's as refreshing to see as it was when you first saw the opening shot. You're ready to see it. Everything is so claustrophobic and sterile and creepy in Solaris, even when there are things that aren't necessarily scary that are happening on the camera.
Well, think about that emotion and how it ties into what Solaris provides, because the film ends with that amazing final shot of the recreation of that home filled with just the whirls of Solaris all around it. In many ways, Solaris, the planet, asks you, like, are you okay settling for 98% of what you love?
Yeah.
And if you are just in that just abysmal state of construction and isolation and true creepiness on that ship a lot of times, here we have the exact thing that will make you feel discomfort. We can't make 100% because that's impossible, but we can give you as close as, I can't say humanly possible. And that's, I think, a good thing. I think there's no, I think to hold back, like, it means so much, and those emotions, and like, he's never, this isn't a tale about regression. This isn't a tale of him denying the death or the loved ones, now he's not able to move on. It's providing a new chapter, not a recreation of old chapters. Do you know what I mean?
Right, but here's my problem with it. So the twist in the movie is we think he's gone back home. He seems to think he's gone back home. Then he sees it because he gets to see his father again. That makes him very happy because he expected his dad to be dead. And then it starts raining inside the house, and he immediately knows there's something wrong here. This isn't right. This isn't reality. And then he's aware he's literally on Solaris's islands, that one of them that have been popping up, which were based on basically his memories that were beamed into Solaris,
Like Inside Out.
Yes, yes. So he has to make a choice at that point, basically, whether or not to pull the plug on this and escape, assuming he can escape and leave Solaris, or whether he can just live with this lie forever, get to see his dad forever, live in that home again forever, and do those things that he always loved to do. But the problem is that Solaris doesn't treat this, and by Solaris I'm referring to the planet, not the movie, doesn't treat this as an option or an alternative. It doesn't tell him it's not real. He figures out that it's not real. I guess, is Solaris, the planet, doing things, evil things with good intentions? Or is it doing evil things guised as good intentions? Or is it just so good in the planet, literally the planet, because the planet is a living thing, is this entity just not aware of what it's doing? Is it trying to be good? That's I guess another question I have in this movie. Is Solaris evil?
I've answered this for most of
And is
those.
that okay if it is?
I do not. That one I can answer easily. I do not believe Solaris is evil. I am hesitant to say that it is doing good things because I treat Solaris, the planet, much like nature itself. Here is a forest full of resources which you can live. The forest is providing this for you. You eat the wrong berries, you die. Sorry, this is a forest. I think, to me, Solaris is not emotional. It is without motivation.
It's nature.
It is nature. It is a planet that provides this for you.
So the idea of our human petty morality, that's completely null and void here.
I think that's what makes the film so wonderful.
The world provides, but it also creates Category 5 hurricanes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is why everyone is so damn confused in this movie because it just keeps giving you this thing, and we're like, do we need to nuke the planet? Like, is it, like, what the fuck is happening here? You keep using the word evil because, like, it's really eerie what's going on.
It's, exactly. I mean,
but it's also
creepy.
nice, but also it's very creepy because it's because to me, like, at the end, Chris, I wouldn't say he's living a lie. He's just living a new truth on Solaris. Like, this is.
But there are real people on Earth.
Yes.
That
he could do. Yeah.
To me, that there's some there. I mean, this is morally ambiguous, but there. If my son decided to stay there with something that wasn't actually me, then what did I ever really mean? Like I can't help but cram my human brain into the.
Well, consider the fact that I mean, his dad's probably dead.
His dad's probably dead, but he may not have been.
But he may never have the opportunity to come back to Solaris.
That's. I mean, I know. I get why he stays. You know, I understand that. The other thing about it too is, like, I keep thinking about Harry, and Harry's, the co-lead in this movie. There's two things that make me kind of also even question that, is the fact that by the end of the film, she's a fully functional human being. Like, she's living.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm saying, oh, this is a carbon copy necessarily. No, this is some sort of entity. This is some sort of being. And the thing that always gets me about this film is that Harry, even with this knowledge of her past, this new Harry, the Solaris Harry's knowledge of her past and how much she loves Chris still, again, she still kills herself. Meaning, that was always what she was going to do, too? Like,
it kind of proves how much she is Harry, right? I mean,
I know, exactly. Yes. And that again
how real she
complicates things even more, right?
Because that's the thing, like, it's always been hard for me to grasp in these sci-fi tales of, like, no, the evil clone is just the clone, kill the Westworld robot kind of thing, because it's not real. Real is not real. Yeah. And once you have someone with complete copy of memories, that makes you the same. And that is, you're now a person, and especially if you kind of, even though you think your day, we know your day began today, your memories that you began 40 years ago kind of thing. Sorry, that's equal weight, because you have full memory consciousness of 40 years of living, and you'll be very confused when someone points a gun in your head and says, you're not real. It's
too... I don't know. Like, I can't get outside that box. I mean, I understand that box. Like, I get how it plays, but I can't help thinking that I don't think it's right that Chris can simply walk away from his regret and try to fix it, because even if he fixes it for himself, Harry's still dead.
Yes.
And she's still... And those regrets shouldn't be... Those potholes shouldn't be just filled. That was a living, breathing person, and the regrets he has for that, he owes some sort of penance for that. And he doesn't have to cope with that anymore. I mean, he ends up having to do it anyway because she ends up dying anyway, but it just... And now he realizes again what he lost. It's just so fucking heavy and big, Austin. I'm like...
Well, I mean, even if she happens to show up again...
And I think she will.
Harry 4.
I assume she will.
And I do, too. I think that's okay, because I think with the nature of kind of forgiveness, those elements don't go away. I think true regret always is partially there. And Harry 1, 2, and 3 now... they never got complete peace before they died. Harry 4 is still, or Harry 5, Harry 6 coming up. They will still be the same Harry, but possibly the chance to have that peace. Like,
yeah, you always have a chance to maybe redo it, but those other Harrys are still gone.
They are gone.
And I have to say, sorry, go ahead. There is there is one of the most like beautiful scenes in the history of cinema that happens in this, at least for me. It just really, really, really strikes me each time. Very, very late in the film, close to when the second Harry request for Dr. Burton to hit her with the Annihilator, aptly named, she has the full concepts and ideas and memories and knowledge of what transpired between her and Chris Kelvin before. And she knows all that. She knows everything they've gone through together. And he knows everything that they've gone through together. So they're on completely equal footing. All their dirty laundry is aired out at this point. And they're able to share this moment of anti-gravity together that's just so beautifully tragic. I don't know how to say it. They love each other so much, and yet they're stuck being so cold to each other because they know so much about each other that they don't want to know. And they share that moment in anti-gravity. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. You need the full weight of the film behind it to get to that point. But, like, yeah, circle print that. That's like one of my favorite scenes. It's definitely of this 5, but that we've covered on the entire podcast. It's absolutely beautiful.
I know that our show really isn't about like exact lists and ranking, but would you say this is the second greatest sci-fi film ever? Because I had to like. You know, I got to sketch this in the tablet right now.
Right. So, like, obviously, number 1's 2001: A Space Odyssey. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Since you asked the question, do you think so?
I do. I was like halfway through this again. I'm like, yeah, this is a masterpiece. Like this in 2001 hit a level of deep questions, brilliant sci-fi that's never like distracting. Like, boy, this nailed Skype.
Yeah.
In the 70s, and truly just kind of being like. I mean, the first 2 films we covered are really, really good. This one is better, but also, like, I think it's easiest to recommend to someone because I think the story itself is so good that, like, you'll just be... it's gripping. It's really eerie. It's very slow, but, I mean, everything on that station is so, like, especially when you have, like, 2 guys just going, like, get ready. Like, it's creepy.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, it does. It hits a lot of essential beats. You know, it's interesting that you say sci-fi movie. It's undeniably a sci-fi movie, but it's so human. Mm-hmm. This is about... Whereas 2001 is basically based on something quite alien.
Yes.
I mean, you have HAL, which is this unbelievably advanced technology, and you have the monolith, which is some sort of all-knowing entity or god type of thing. This movie is about a broken heart. I mean, essentially, when it gets down to it, and broken people, and regret, and loss, and love, and moving on, and all these various... Death, obviously, is a big theme. I mean, yeah. I mean, getting back to, yeah, it probably is the second. I can't think of another sci-fi movie I like better now.
No, it is.
It really is. And, I mean, the only other one that I might argue with is Stalker.
I got to rewatch that.
Which you got to rewatch.
2 weeks.
You know, and what's funny is, like, going into the 5, I thought Stalker was better than Solaris. And as of today, I kind of like Solaris better than Stalker. So it's just... There's just so much to talk about this movie. We could do like part 2 and 3 of this.
This is our fastest record I think we've ever done.
Yeah, I mean, there's no space, there's no air in between any word because like all these thoughts are. The movie's so provocative. Like after every viewing, after every moment, I just want to pause it and talk about it. And you're right, it is slow paced. I mean, if anyone out there hasn't seen it yet, but
once he gets to space, I mean, actually, once like.
Well, space is pretty far in the movie. It's like probably 40 minutes, I'm guessing.
The stuff with the flashback and the stuff, it's really interesting, but it's hard to like go, okay, where is this going?
Harry doesn't show up for the first hour, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once that's what's happening, it's really incredible.
And when she does, it's like breathtaking, other than her being so beautiful. You know what? One thing I thought they really thought was just real fast, they nailed really well? Mm-hmm. The age difference between the two is like right, because she died 10 years ago,
Yes.
and she was younger than him.
Yeah.
So it's his memory of her. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to do it before our wrap-up episode, but there was a remake of this from 2002 by Steven Soderbergh, starring George Clooney and Natasha Henstridge.
Which I have not seen.
I wouldn't mind rewatching because I remember liking it. Not liking it as much as this one, but the one thing that maybe it did improve upon this perfect film was they got Jeremy Davies as the crazy scientist in the thing. Jeremy Davies, best known as Daniel Faraday on Lost. So we go, we need scientists who's going nuts in a space station seeing hallucinations. Give me Faraday. Get him on the phone.
It's like, basically, that's like taking J.J. Abrams from Star Trek to direct Star Wars.
Like, we know you got the goods, kid.
No, this is an absolute masterpiece. It's a 5-star, as you would say, 4-star film to me. It's up there. It's one of the best films we covered.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And if you have not seen it, weirdly, we've not, we just, gave away the complete ending. There's a lot to unpack from this film that you can watch this right after this recording and just still be shocked by what's going on.
The movie is about, your philosophy gained from it.
Yeah.
What do you take out of it? It's not about, plot.
And we both had, I think, different emotions once the credits ran, and yet we both loved it this
time.
Yeah,
you were happy.
I was weirdly happy this time. Last two times I was not.
It makes me sad, so.
And next time I watch it, it's probably going to be something different. But today I was like, I think this is good for him.
You're just so detached from humanity, Austin. That's why it's happy for you.
Because I'm so attached to otherworldly things.
I guess so.
I joined Scientology.
So you wouldn't have nuked Solaris?
No.
Okay, just saying.
Now we know who we are.
We know where we stand.
Where can people find us, though?
All right, you can find us at Let's Take 5.
Nope.
You can find us at theartimmortal.com.
Yep.
Yes, you can leave a comment at theartimmortal.com. You can email us at letstake5 at theartimmortal.com. Or you can tweet at us at theimmortalspod. Let us know what you think of Solaris. There are 2 other podcasts that we share on this network. We share with The Immortals, which is a podcast that you review the 1001
movies, albums, food, song, children's book, and TV shows that you must see before you die.
And this week they're covering Apocalypse Now, The Snow Spider, and Dead Like Me.
Yeah.
That's that show with the death popping bubblegum?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yeah.
The Grim Reapers.
Yeah, Grim Reapers, right.
Yeah.
And then the, what do you call it, the Pop Culture Legal Team, Adam Certain, were 2, you should say it.
Yep,
you do it better.
2 bona fide lawyers. They don't review, they look at a piece of pop culture and examine the real-life law behind it. This month they're covering Westworld, and next coming up is Inception.
All right, and you can catch me on The Constant Diversion. That's my YouTube channel, working on the Chrono Trigger video now, and that's about it.
Adam Lord, who did our awesome theme music at the top, is available at songsbyalord.com. I'm Austin Luger.
I'm Eric Martindale.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.